How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Tressa's Collectibles channel. My name is Mike, and I will be your host for today's product opening of the newly released Frieren Beyond Journeys and Weiss Schwarz set. This is a set that I hold very dearly to my heart, as it is one of my favorite shows of the past 1 or 2 years, and I'm sure that all of you tuning in that have watched the show can certainly agree that it is one of the more unique shows of our time in terms of content, the themes that it explores, and also just the sheer beauty and execution of the sounds and visuals of this anime. So I am very happy to be your host today for this release. I have extensive experience with this particular set ever since it came out in the original Japanese version. So I am going to be telling you guys all about my personal experiences with the set as I go through cards, tell you what's all cool about what the set has to offer, and also just honestly just kind of talk about how much I love the show, how much I love the set design in terms of a lot of the flavor of the effects as they relate to characters or happenings in the show and things like that. So Frieren is a pretty standard release consisting of a trial deck and booster box. We are starting a new format with the booster boxes, so I will be going over that with you guys once we do start the booster box opening. But for now, let's just take it one step at a time, starting with our one trial deck, and we'll take a look at what's available in the trial deck. But before then, let's take a look and admire the beautiful stitched edge playmat that we do receive, one per sealed case of booster boxes. We do have our titular character Frieren alongside her travel companions Fern and Stark alongside this nice logo, and I do like the light blue alongside these white decorations on the side. So let's take a look at the trial deck. For those that are tuning in that have not watched Frieren yet, that are curious as to what the show is all about, the show's premise asks the question, what happens at Journey's End? What happens when you defeat the Demon King and save the world? This is a show that starts at the end of that particular journey. So as we explore this trial deck and eventually the booster box, we will encounter a lot of characters that Frieren, who is an elf that has lived for over 1,000 years, a lot of characters that Frieren has been accompanied by through her travels both in the past and in the present. We have the Old Heroes Party, which is the party that she was a part of that did conquer the Demon Lord, defeat him, and bring back peace to the world. And then we'll also be exploring cards with her new party that features, as you guys see here, her new companions Fern and Stark. The trial deck goes over the first, I believe, 2 or 3 episodes of the show. And alongside the trial deck, we do receive, as always, the typical trial deck contents of seeing or having the playmat tells you where all the zones are, as well as a graph telling you how to go by every phase in the game, as well as a handy rule sheet to tell you how to identify all the symbols on the cards, and obviously they are catered towards your exclusive set, so we do have these Frieren cards that they use as examples, as well as an idea of how to play the game. So we have this nice sheet over here, using cards as examples from our very own Frieren trial deck. So for those that are completely new, I would suggest taking a look at these, as these will help answer a lot of your questions at the very onset. So let's take a look at the cards. We do have our title card, Frieren the Slayer. In Japanese, it is So no Frieren, which is the Japanese title. And this is our actual level 3 combo. I'm not sure how often it is that our title SR, our cover SR, is our level 3 combo, but this is one example. It's also pretty curious because this card also comes as one of the OFR, overframe rares in the set that you can potentially pull from one of your random trial decks. It does remove the blue border and allows you to see more of the art if you do want to go that extra tier of experience. So this particular card does have a regular non-foil, the SR cover foil, and the OFR version that you can use. The 3/2 Frieren is really strong, but it is part of an overall package. So I will go ahead and tell you what the combo does, but there's so much more to this card that can make it potentially a meta viable option for you if you are trying to play competitive Frieren. So on play, she does top check up to 3 cards and add 1. Climax combo on attack, discard 2 cards. If you have 2 more other characters, to burn 4, and then give one of your characters 2,000 power. So a pretty simple effect, nothing special, but it does sometimes get the job done. Burn Force does have reach, right? So that is our title card. This deck is yellow and blue, so we're going to place this here as it is going to be one of our last cards that we're going to look at. So the first card of the actual deck is the Pursuit of Magic Frieren, which is our draw brainstorm. We normally do have 1 brainstorm in every trial deck, and this is our draw brainstorm of the deck. Tap self to mill 5 and then draw a card for every climax. But it does have a second effect, which is really useful. And I'm going to actually, instead of going card by card, we're going to talk about this whole package together real quick, because this is really the highlight of this particular trial deck, is the Frieren, the Himmel, and the level 3 Frieren the Slayer. So the Frieren has an extra ability where if you're at level 3, you have the ability to, if you have this particular Himmel in memory, sacrifice herself, send her to Waiting Room to summon this Frieren from your hand for no stock cost. And furthermore, you also give that particular summon 3/2 Frieren the ability where this character cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effect, making her essentially hex-proof. This is really powerful because you'll be able to cheat a lot of stock. This is not like a once per turn thing, so if you have multiple brainstorms and multiple 3/2 Frierens on stage, you would be able to just play multiple Frierens for no stock cost. Now, how do we get the Himmel in memory? Himmel has a built-in effect where when he goes from the stage to Waiting Room, we can discard, or we can put 1 card from a hand to clock, so we clock ourselves from hand, and then if we do, search our deck for a adventure or magic character, which is every character for the most part in this set. And then if we have 2 or less memory, then we choose up to 1 Himmel, Blue Moon Weeds Himmel, in our Waiting Room and send to memory. So he goes to the Waiting Room, we clock from hand, we search our deck, and then he then checks if we have 2 less memory, and if we do, we send him to memory. And for the most part, there's not going to be a lot of other cards in the set that go to memory, so that checking for memory condition is largely moot, as he'll basically always have that condition. But it's a good way for us in the early game to search out, for example, maybe we need a brainstorm, so we can search a brainstorm, or we need our level 1 climax combo. So Himmel is going to be a good bridge between level 0 and level 1. And also, he is going to be the prerequisite for us to activate our Pursuit of Magic Frieren's effect to summon the 3/2 Frierens for free. It's also really nice because normally, obviously, we do get 4 copies of our brainstorms, but we also get 4 copies of this level 0 Himmel. This card is really strong, and we do appreciate the fact that there are 4 copies and not 2, so that we can see it with more consistency. Next, we have 2 copies of Next Work Hater. One of every card is inserted into the back where the foil slots are, so we do have basically anything that you see here, we get +1 copy of. This hater is our original hero party's human priest. He does a lot of the healing for the party. He's a global 500 to all of your other characters, and also startup, you can discard a card and put this on the bottom of your deck to search your deck for any character. For a trial deck, this is actually a really solid effect. Essentially, it's a helmet that searches your deck on command without stock cost. So if you are, for example, missing a level 1 combo, or you just need that final level 3 in your hand to really pop off during your finishing turn, the hater, for the cost of essentially, you can -1 to hand fix exactly what you need. So pretty strong card. Next, we're going to have 4 copies of Next Work Eisen. This is the Dwarven warrior of the original hero party. He is very sturdy, very reliable, head fast. You can't break him. He is unbreakable. Diamond is unbreakable. If you need strength, Eisen is your man. For our Weiss card, he does have 4,000 power, so just like how buff he is oversized for a level 0. 4,000 power is very respectable in today's day and age, given the prevalence of so many 3,500 characters. 4,000 is going to actually be not super easy to deal with. So if you just want a reliable turn 1 play that can, for the most part, be reliable enough to survive one turn, Eisen can oftentimes get the job done. Next, we are moving into our level 1 climax combo. This is the last party, the last member of our hero party. We have Hero Himmel. He is, of course, the hero of the party. He is a standard, swordsman. He is the hero that does not need Excalibur to be our hero, right? He is a hero because of his actions and his convictions. This level 1 combo gets 3,000 power on play, whereas he is base 3k, so it goes to 6k. Climax combo on attack with a choice climax or adventure, which is this one. You can look at up to the top 4 cards of your deck and choose up to 1 character and add it to your hand. It's a very straightforward combo. It gives you deck speed. It gives you a moderate amount of selectivity in the top check 4. Most importantly, he has a soul trigger. So it's really nice because going with a choice and having a soul trigger means if you trigger in a choice early on and he's in your way room, you can just send him to stock or add him back to your hand depending on what you need. Oftentimes trial decks are also lacking a bit of triggers, so having this level 1 be a trigger is going to be quite a nice boon to get some incidental damage output and be a valid target for choice. Our supplemental level 1 attacker is another Himmel. Himmel Triumphant Return is when he goes back to Hound, goes back to our kingdom, and everyone's celebrating because the party just defeated the Demon Lord. During our turn, if we have a Frieren Brainstorm, then this card gets 4,000 power and the ability where on attack we can pay 1 Twin Drive. It's really strong because we're oftentimes going to have our Frieren in the back row. Our back row is mostly going to consist of double Frieren or at least 1 Frieren and maybe one of the higher global 500s. So he's just attacking for 8 to 8,500 without a climax. If you play a climax, then he goes to 9 to 9.5, which is just huge. It can even potentially contest some level 2 standby targets sometimes, but it will most certainly contest most level 1 options. And having that Twin Drive to be able to pay out your climaxes when you triggered them previously on your first 1 or 2 attacks is just such a nice crush to refresh better. Next, we have 2 copies of our Priest Hider. Level set 500 times the number of characters level, and also on play, if we have 2 more other characters, we can choose to draw 2, and if we do, discard 2 cards. So as an assist that you would not be unhappy to play just a standard 500 times level assist, it's also really nice that he comes attached with a draw 2, discard 2 option, especially considering that as a trial deck, we oftentimes might not have really good selection. Our Brainstorm is a draw Brainstorm, and our Himmel is top check 4. So the fact that Hider can give us extras hand fixing is it's very welcome indeed. Next, we're going to have the Warrior Eisen. Eisen, for the most part, just like his warriors that he is in the front row, he is going to attack in the front row. So we have our level 0 beater, and his level 2 is also just a front row attacker. 7k base, but if we have 4 more other characters, he continuously gets 4,000 power, so he is a 2-1, 11k. Next, we have 2-1 Himmel. Himmel's thing is that he is just infatuated with Frieren. Himmel, this human, is so in love with Frieren, but Frieren as an elf just doesn't really understand this concept of love and a lot of other kind of like human emotions, right? And so a lot of the part of the story is about Frieren kind of like learning about humans and understanding emotions and understanding her own feelings. But what Himmel does, he's not super, fuzzy about it. He like literally just oftentimes just like straight up proposes sometimes to Frieren, or like Himmel is very upfront about his feelings oftentimes. So it's very flavorful that Himmel has so many cards that require Frieren on the board because Himmel just derives so much strength and loves her so much. This 2-1 Himmel also needs the Frieren Brainstorm on the board, but if we do have her on the board during our turn, then he gets 6,000 power and also on attack pay 1 Twin Drive. So 13-5 Twin Drive on a 2-1. Honestly, this contests some of the biggest threats in the game. You can contest a 2-1 Muron. You can contest most level 3 early plays. It can be anti-strange because it's a level 2, and it does have that built-in Twin Drive. So for a trial deck, this is honestly such a good level 2 to run. And even if you do go into like a regular tournament and you see a lot of meta decks, this will answer most level 2 threats. Next, we're going to have 4 copies of our Adventure, which is the level 1 Himo combo on a choice, and 2 copies of the Era Meteor Shower, the Ryusei Shower, right? I'm just thinking about the scene. It's so beautiful. I'm just breaking. I'm just dying. Okay, I can't spend all day just reliving this show and its mermaids, because then we'd be here for 2 hours, and I already do product opening videos that just last an hour and a half already. So we're gonna move on. Going into blue, we have 2 copies of Mage Frieren. This is the card alongside the level 1 Himo that can come SP, and they do have nice alternate arts for the SPs. But this is a really powerful card. This is a level Climax Swapper, excuse me. So on play, we can pay 1, discard a Climax, salvage any Climax in our waiting room. And also, it's a level 0 bottom deck reverser. So when she is reversed in battle, we can just take out another level 0 with us. At 500 power, she will be able to answer even the most smallest of threats that you want to deny. Things like the level 0 Eye. If you're playing a mirror match, she can definitely deny the level 0 Himo from hitting the waiting room. So a multi-role card, you're generally going to run this card in your deck because she has a Climax Swap. So the fact that she has that level 0 removal option is just icing on the cake. Now we are moving on, accelerating the timeline. This is Hyder 50 years after they subjugate and defeat the Demon Lord. This is Hyder when they first defeat the Demon Lord, and this is Hyder in their old age. Hyder, in his old age, adopts a daughter, an orphan, which is Fern. Hyder takes Fern in, takes care of her. After Fern's village is razed, I believe, she loses her parents, and she is on the verge of contemplating suicide, and Hyder stops her, gives her a reason to live. So this particular Hyder gives this particular Fern 2,000 power continuous, and also bonds on play to either the level 1 Fern or the level 3 Fern, which we will talk about in just a second. So that connection there between the basically the adopted daughter and her father. Next, we have 2 copies of the Cleanup Request Frieren, which is just the standard 2,500 power backup. 2 copies of a 1/1 taking care of our Master Fern. Master is Hyder. Hyder goes ahead and teaches her magic along the way, since Hyder is one heck of a very strong priest. This Fern is, during your turn, if you have 2 or more other characters, she gets 4,000, putting her up to 9.5, and she has Clock on Core. Going into the level 3, we have the aforementioned other Fern that the Hyder can bond to. This card is an on-play healer, and also on attack, you can pay 1, discard 1. She gets 2k, and on reverse, burn 1. So we have our standard fare of having the 2 different level 3s in our trial deck. One is our Climax combo finisher, and another one, generally speaking, we always will have some sort of healer in a trial deck, so Fern is our healer of choice. It is really nice as well that she does have that extra ability where she can act as an off-climax finisher. So sometimes if you don't have triple Frieren, you'll be pretty satisfied with Frieren, Fern, and that would not be a bad setup at all. Or if you needed to just really stall, you can just play a couple Ferns to heal back down to 3-0, and then you go for your Frieren the turn after. And then for the final card, we do have 2 copies of this 2/3 event, Defensive Magic, where when you use the event, if you have 5 or more characters, you are able to give one of your characters 1,500 until end of turn, and also give a character in battle the ability where they cannot deal damage to a player. So it is a blank anti-damage card. If your opponent just swings into you willy-nilly without thinking about the consequences and you have a full board, use this counter. They just don't do damage that turn. And our final card is 2 copies of our level 3 climax. This is the Promised Blue Moon Weeds, Yakusoku no Sogetsu. This is when Himmel in his time tells Frieren about his favorite flowers, which is a breed of really gorgeous blue flowers from his homeland. And Himmel promises that he will take Frieren to see these flowers one day. And unfortunately, in his lifetime, he does not get to do so. Frieren goes and searches for this flower and discovers them. So this is one of the shots when Frieren discovers those flowers. And this particular card has an overframe rare, which is just absolutely gorgeous. It has an expanded shot of her looking at the discovered Sogetsu Blue Moon Weeds, and I'm just getting emotional just thinking about it. Alright, so here we are going to look at the rest of the deck. The second half of the deck, generally speaking, they do have one of every card in the back, and you are guaranteed one random triple rare or higher card in this. So if we just spread everything out, I do believe that we are going to end up with this 2-1 Himmel, because we did not see that amongst our distribution. So there you go. These are the ratios. For one trial deck, these ratios are pretty nice. We have obviously going to have the 4 copies of our level 1 combo alongside the climax. We have 4 copies of our Brainstorm, 4 copies of our Beater, and we have 4 copies of this level 0 Himmel. I think this is probably one of the standouts in terms of ratios. But I would highly suggest picking up 2 trial decks for this particular set, as one of the premier climax combos to choose from, even if you do have access to the entire catalog of booster cards, is this level 3 Frieren, and it only comes as 2 copies per trial deck alongside 2 copies of her corresponding climax, and you definitely want 4 of each of those. So that's going to wrap up our trial deck overview. Let me clean up real quick and we'll get straight to the boosters. Alright, we're back, guys, and let's start opening our 2 boxes of Frieren. Now, I did mention that there is a format change with this new Frieren set and moving forward for the main line booster box products for English Weiss Schwarz. We have a format change in which boxes now come with 12 packs per box instead of the previous format's 16 packs per box. Furthermore, there are 8 cards per pack instead of 9. And 24 boxes per case instead of 18. What does this mean? Let's go over a couple of the kind of like implications or kind of like the results for this format change. The per unit price of booster boxes is going to go down as there are just less packs per box. The overall distribution of the case ratios in terms of the number of playsets you get is the same as before. If you have a standard 10 double rare set, you are still expected to pull 2 playsets worth of double rares and below. Frieren is an 11 double rare set. So in one case, you are going to be short a couple of double rares. It's not significant, but you will not be able to fulfill 2 exact playsets worth of double rares. I believe you're missing around 4 double rares in one sealed case. Every booster box now is going to have 3 to 4 double rares instead of 4 to 5 compared to the previous format. But you will still, for the most part, get 3 foils per box for the sets that come with a foil for every single low rarity card. Frieren is no exception, so you have 111 base rarity types and 111 types of SR and higher parallel foil cards. So you still get 3 foils per box. So that means in an overall case, you are expected to receive quite a lot more foils per case than the old format. 24 times 3 compared to 18 times 3. And a question that I definitely expect is, does this affect the pull rate of signatures? Does this affect the pull rate of the higher rarity? The long and short answer is sort of. In a sealed case, in the first place, Weiss Schwarz does not have fixed ratios that is just consistent across all releases. Every release does have their own specific ratios. For Frieren, it's actually pretty generous. You get 3 SPs, which are signed, 1 SSP, which is also signed, 9 OFRs, which are the overframe climaxes, and there is also a secret rare, and the secret rare is a bonus card, and it does not replace the slot of the SPs nor the SSPs, but is not guaranteed in a sealed case. So the overall number of hits is still just determined on a franchise by a release basis. However, it is technically harder to pull hits now than it was before. If you had a case of 18 and you had 3 SPs, you had a 1 in 6 chance per box to open a SP. Now you have in 3 and 24 a 1 in 8 chance to open an SP. So per box it is more difficult mathematically to open an SP, but if you account for the fact that boxes are cheaper per unit, it sort of balances out to be around the same if you count the monetary value. Now, the next point is English specific, as Japanese did go through this exact change when they came out with Frieren and Card Captor Straka at the beginning of 2024. But there was no price change in terms of the MSRP of Japanese product, whereas for English, Bushiroad is increasing the MSRP of product starting with these new 24 box sets. So while boxes are still cheaper per unit compared to the old format, the new format is still in a per seal case. You are going to expect to need to pay around $50 to like $70 more for your pre-orders, no matter if you go to for example, our shop, any other shop out there. It's just a distributor-wide, company-wide cost of living, basically, slash inflation type of price increase across the board. So if you guys have any further questions or need clarification about the new format, I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. Just let me know in the comments, or you can always feel free to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. A lot of people are very confused, especially when this format first rolled out in Japanese, and I expect a lot of people that are English only to have the same kind of questions. So feel free to let me know if you are confused about anything or need any clarification. So without further ado, we've gone over the ratios, we've gone over the changes. Let's get right into the meat of things. One other thing that is very nice is we've seen this with Dengeki Bunko before, but with this new format, it is the permanent inclusion of going first, going second cards. So normally we have a sealed box topper per every box, and they were usually unique cards that had special effects that only came as box toppers. They got rid of that, and now finally we have consistent going first, going second cards, which previously was basically a Japanese exclusive thing. Frieren has 6 total going first, going second cards. We have 3 going first and 3 going seconds. So here we have a going first card of the old heroes party. We do have the whole gang, just during their travels, just sitting there enjoying each other's presence, contemplating their journey, contemplating, their friendship and love for each other. Very beautiful. And I'm really happy that first seconds are finally back in English. It was something that was lacking. So it's really nice that we do have the case topper as our normal English exclusive bonus, and now we do have the first seconds as well. So, like I mentioned, there are now 6 packs per box. But we still do get quite a lot of foils, so hopefully we can pull something nice. Like I mentioned earlier, every case is actually pretty generous in Frieren. 1 SSP, 3 SPs, and 9 OFRs, right? Now, what's interesting is that in a sealed case of Frieren, you have exactly one box that comes with both an OFR and an SP. Very unique. One box has both an OFR and an SP. So it could just be a hidden kind of bonus. I really like that they do this kind of thing where they have this kind of like switcheroo slash bonus deal, you know? So, going to our first pack. So, for the sake of just keeping things brief and not having the video be you know, somewhere along 4 hours, I will just restrain myself from talking about every card. But obviously, when things are relevant, I will go ahead and talk about them. All right, the first card that I think is relevant to talk about is one that is quite impressive and also quite funny. For those that have watched the show, you guys know exactly what this scene is alluding to. Magic to see through closing Fern. On play, we can... she has 2 effects. The first one that I'll talk about is her second effect, where on play and on death, we can pay 1 and discard an adventure or magic character to look at up to the top 3 cards of our deck and choose any card among them to add to our hand. No need to show our opponent. We can add events and climaxes. Very strong effect, as this is very flexible, both on play and on death. You could potentially use this to go through 6 cards and fix 2, right? But if you just need to find a particular climax, this lets you check 3 more. The second effect is why I'm actually bringing up this card to talk about. She has, I think, a unique effect that no other card in the game has. On play, choose one of your opponent's stage positions and put all markers in the marker area corresponding to that position in the waiting room. It's literally printed to counter Nazarick. This was a card that was designed to specifically say no to the 3/2 Einz and those little black goats that just are, for the most part, uninteractable. This Fern does not target Einz. Einz is untargetable, but this Fern targets the zone that has the markers and sends all those markers to the waiting room. So if you are in a Nazarick matchup, Einz better be pretty scared, because if the Frieren players runs a copy of this Fern and you put all 5 of your goats underneath Einz, say goodbye to those markers. Alright, so we do have our first double rare. Clumsy Birthday Stark. He has a Climax combo with Standby, where when we played the Standby, or at the beginning of Climax phase, at the beginning of our attack phase, we can discard a card and send that Standby in our Climax area to waiting room. If we do, we can stand this card and we can choose up to one particular what? Okay, I think there might be a errata needed on this card that I'm reading it. It summons a 3/2 Fern. I believe the proper name should be Clumsy Birthday Fern, but this card just says Clumsy Birthday? So, yeah, but it's supposed to summon a 3/2 Fern that acts as a 2,000 power frontal assist. Anyways, he summons that Fern, and also this card gets great performance, where your opponent has to front this card if he is still not reversed in the middle front slot. We can either do that, or we can just forego all that, stand the card. If you do blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we stand the card, we can summon up to 1 Fern, and then he'll either get great performance, which is what we refer to as bodyguard, or we can choose up to 1 card in waiting room and put it into stock. So we can generate 1 stock and still have him attack, or we can summon that Fern and also give a bodyguard so that he's going to be 12/5, and your opponent just basically has to lose their entire board if they can't deal with this 12/5 body. Okay, that was a mouthful. I'm gonna need to see if we can come across that 3/2 Fern just to confirm. All right. We have this 1/1 event, which is the larger part of a package surrounding a climax combo. Something to note in this set is that one of the flavorful things about the events in this set, you guys will have already might have noticed with the card from the trial deck, but the trial deck 2/3 Frieren event is defense magic, and this is the magic for fighting lost accessories. All but one, I believe, of the events in this set, of which there are many, all are different magics, which is important not only because of flavor. We have the spellcasters and the mages and the priests cast spells in the show, but for a particular level 3 Frieren, she actually checks the number of events in your waiting room that have magic in it. So this will come up later and we'll point that out. But this event says you can draw a card, and if you do, discard a card and choose one of your adventure magic characters in your waiting room and return it to your hand. A seemingly unremarkable event, but it does have counter step, and there is a level 1 Frieren combo that can grab it from your waiting room. So it actually is quite powerful. Okay, and then for our rare, we do have this 3/2 Frieren. Global 15 to all of your other characters, and then on play, if you have another character, you can look at up to the bottom 2 cards of your opponent's deck. You can send up to any of them to your opponent's waiting room and put the rest on the bottom. This card is supposed to be specific support for a 3/2 Himmel that we haven't seen yet. And then we have a book combo for a 1/0 Frieren. Yeah, so there are a lot of kind of synergistic cards, so that's why I'm kind of putting these to the side, and we're gonna kind of harken back to these as we pull relevant cards. And we have Lugner. This is one of the demons that they fight with. And we have a 2/5 Himmel. This is just a regular clean cut. He doesn't get any extra power, which is kind of a bummer because we do want our clean cuts to be big, ideally. But a clean cut has the following effect where when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, we can choose one of our other characters, rest it, and send it to an open position in our backstage. So we are able to just attack with something else, then attack with Himmel, reverse something, and then save a character so that it doesn't get reversed by opponent the following turn. Alright, we have another decent level 0 yellow option. Tired of Waiting Eisen is a 3k level 1 middle runner. All of our characters are Adventure Magic. It gets 1501 level, so 3k level 1. And then at the beginning of our opponent's attack phase, we can move it to the center stage. For lack of better turn 1 plays, you could consider things like the 4k Eisen or this 3k level 1 runner Eisen if you did want some yellow splash. Or if you just wanted like a big beefy guy, Eisen's your man. For our second rare, we do have Extermination Request Frieren. This activates up to once per turn. Her effect does when you play an event, this gets 1 level, 1000 power, and also on attack, reveal the top card of our deck. If it's a level 1 or higher card, put it into stock. Frieren, as you might have noticed by now, based on how I talked about how there's a lot of events, but also about this Frieren, there's a lot of event synergy in this set, which makes this set quite a fun deck building experiment. Seeing which events you want to play, seeing which characters you want to play to synergize with events is one of the deck building joys of building Frieren. Then we do have a Fern Pants combo. We have a Mimic! This is not Frieren. Frieren is not on this card. This card is the Mimic. This card's pretty interesting because it's actually not a bad card. On reverse, we can look at up to the top 4 cards of our deck and choose up to one event amongst them, add it to our hand, and if we do add a card, we can we discard one. Essentially, it's on reverse free mill 4, if you think about it. You don't have to add, you don't have to discard unless you add. And since most Frieren decks will like to run a lot of events, this could potentially give you some nice deck speed and also help you filter for events. So, not bad. Okay, 2k backup. We have Frieren looking for appropriate present to Stark. On play, we can clock a Adventure or Magic character from my hand. to clock to look at up to the top 4 cards and add anything among them. Kind of like the Fern that sees through clothes. This is a pretty nice card to allow you to find other events and climaxes on the top of your deck. Except this doesn't have a stock cost, but does clock yourself and it gets to look at 4 cards. So a very flexible option here. You have land. You have our very prim and proper Stark. Victory and Mourning Frieren. This is a pretty cool card. It's a really nice back row piece. What she does is she has 2 effects. The first of which is when we trigger a climax, we can discard a climax, and then if we do, we can look at the top card of our deck and either leave it on top or put it on the bottom, and then salvage a character. We can turn our gold bars into salvages. We can turn our pants combos into salvages. And it also helps us with our next trigger. Knowing what's the next trigger for our attacks can be very beneficial. Or if you activated this effect on your last attack, you can potentially get 1 card closer to canceling. You check the top card, it's not a climax, put it on the bottom, the next swing is going to be that much closer to a potential cancel. And she does have a pretty nice secondary effect. We can rest herself to give one of our characters 1000 for the turn. So this is just going to be a very solid consideration if you do run something like 8 bar or 8 pants or any deck that has the combination of pants or bar. Get rid of those climaxes the moment you trigger them, get a better refresh, get some selective advantage. It's a very nice option. Alright, our third rare, I believe, is this 1/0 Fern. This 1/0 Fern is the big draw to playing Book Frieren. Book Frieren is hard carried by this card's ability to just spam advantage. She has a very unique effect where at the beginning of your Encore step, if you have a climax with Book trigger in your climax area, and you don't have another copy of herself, you get to draw a card. So this is just to prevent you from just spamming Ferns in your back row or front row even, and just drawing like 3 or 4 cards. But every time basically that you play the Book, you get to draw 1 extra card at the end of that turn. Also up to 3 times per turn. During your main phase or attack phase, when you draw a card, you can choose one of the characters and give it 1000. There are a couple of ways during the main phase and attack phase in the 8 book that would allow you to utilize that effect multiple times a turn to give 1000 power to a bunch of different characters, or even stack it all in one character. So overall, this is the highlight MVP of the potential 8 book deck if you did want to explore that build. And then here we have Sign. Sign is one of the new hero parties that Frieren travels with, alongside Fern and Stark, albeit temporarily. Eisen, Drat the Demon. You have another Fern that sees through clothes. Oh, our first foil, and it is such a beautiful one. This is magic to create a field of flowers. This is Frieren's, I believe, favorite spell. This is certainly her master's favorite spell. And it really just goes to show what kind of person, what kind of elf Frieren is. She is this almighty, all-powerful, trained over 1,000 years, powerful mage, and yet her favorite spell is one that just creates a field of flowers. This is a 3-1 event that lets you salvage a character from your waiting room, and also then you get to stock shuffle. Nowadays, Bushido doesn't really print stock swaps anymore, where stock swap is send off your opponent's stock to waiting room and then they restock from the top of their deck. Stock shuffle is you send all of their stock back into the deck, you shuffle it, and then they restock from the post-shuffle deck. So it is less likely to affect their compression compared to a hard stock swap, but I think they want to move away from that idea nowadays. Even still, though, the fact that it is just a 1 cost that salvages any character from waiting room on top of the stock shuffle makes this card a super powerful utility card to disrupt your opponent's compression at level 3, right before you go into your finishing line. You have Method. This is a tap 2 Brainstorm, and I believe it's one of the other few options that you might have for Brainstorm outside of a particular double rare Fern. But this is a tap 2 Brainstorm that searches your deck. She does mill 5, which is really nice. So You could consider putting this in things like standby. You could standby, tap to one of your other characters. There's a Fern. There's a Fern that bounces back to your hand. So the tap 2 is essentially like a tap 1. And mill 5 is really nice because you just have a higher probability to hit. Her other effect is continuous. Your other level 0 in the middle position gets 1000 power. So it's like, if you put the 4K Aizen in your middle and you play Method in the back row, that card's 5K. That card's not dying to any other power level card. Alright, another event, another banger of an event. This is the magic that turns sweet grapes into sour grapes. So you guys have noticed that some of these spells are, kind of random, right? Magic for fighting lost accessories, magic that turns sweet grapes into sour ones, magic that creates a field of flowers. This is the type of Frieren. This is the type of magic that Frieren loves. These just random, seemingly random magics. But we eventually do learn that all of these do have some sort of meaning to kind of like help our friends and things like that. The Grape event, as we like to call it, is really powerful because it chooses one of your opponent's level 1 or higher characters, and your opponent has to exchange it with a character that is lower than that character's level. So like if you choose a level 2, they have to swap it with a character in the waiting room that is level 1 or lower. Choose a level 3, 2 and lower, so on and so forth. We call this, the short term for this is we just call it like a level down event or like a shrink event, right? A shrink effect. So it's really good at disrupting particular setups. If your opponent has some really annoying level 3 that has a lingering effect, like 3/2 Sora from Hololive, or maybe like the 2-1 Shuna from Slime, or just something that you just really don't want to deal with. You know, like the 1/1 Yuji from Shauna, the anti-burn Yuji. You use this event and you just make their day significantly worse. You get them some sour grapes and they are going to cringe at eating some sour grapes there. This card also just goes to stock afterwards, so this is stock positive. So it's such a good card because it gives you so much more freedom for your stock threshold. Normally some decks do like to play like, for example, like a level 0 character that it's on play. You can send a card from your hand to stock, so it's like you play a character and then you also -1 to send a stock. But this is an event that just goes straight to stock, so you have the first effect that is already beneficial in the level down, and you also +1 stock. So it's this event is kind of nutty. All right, and for our next rare, we do have a fan favorite, Yubel. She is kind of nuts, and I think her effect is very appropriate for her character. This is the level 3 that can come down at level 2 as long as our opponent has a level 3 or higher character. So she kind of like matches your opponent, right? You show her a threat and she will respond appropriately. So she can come down to level 2 as long as your opponent has a level 3. On play, reveal the top card of our deck. If it is a magic or adventure character or an event, we can choose one of our opponent's level 3 characters in the front row and just send it straight to the waiting room. Very akin to her ability where she, just like the flavor text says, magic that cuts almost anything. Yubel will just cut any of her opponents. It does not matter how high their power level is. It does not matter what level they are, as long as they're level 3 or lower. She imagines it, she thinks she can cut someone, and she will just cut someone. And then we have an Aura Climax. Okay, so far we have one double rare and one foil. Frieren, Denkin. Denkin is our favorite high, powerful sorcerer, mage, magician that also just happens to be very proficient in hand-to-hand combat. So, all right, we have our second double rare, Precious Memory Himmel. This is a quite powerful card. The effect that we're going to refer to this is commonly, the community term is kind of like JC, but it has the effect where one of our other characters is frontal attack. We can pay 1, send this to waiting room to bounce that frontal attack character back to our hand. His second effect is on play. If we have another character, he gets 1500 power and the following effect where on attack, we can look at the top card of our deck and either leave it there or put it on the bottom. A super powerful set of effects being 3/5 on attack that allows us to rig our trigger, as well as having a built-in +1 engine to save one of our other front row characters. We get the value from attacking with him in the front row, and then he'll be able to sacrifice himself to bounce another character. Just a very solid card all around. Alright, we have this really interesting card. This 1/0 Statue of the Party of Heroes is a character. You would think that something like a statue would be an event, and it kind of is an event. Because what it has is a continuous effect that says this card cannot attack. Very interesting, right? This is a character that literally cannot attack. But it does have a startup effect where we can pay 1 and send this standing card to our memory. And if we do, we can choose one Hero Himmel or Homeland Flower, Frieren, and Himmel in our waiting room and return it to our hand. Hero Himmel, let me grab the trial deck again. Hero Himmel is the trial deck level 1 combo. So this gives a lot of much appreciated consistency in being able to not only find our initial copies of Himmel, but loop Himmel multiple times. Because this is a character, because this statue is a character, this is able to be grabbed off of the Himmel Climax combo. On your opponent's turn, they're going to reverse your Himmels, they get sent to the waiting room, but then you have the statue, which you can play next turn, pay the cost, send to memory, salvage another copy of Himmel, and then go into another round of Climax combos if you do have another copy of his choice. The second card that this card refers to is an unforeseen doubler that we have not yet come across, so we are going to leave that aside for the time being, and we'll talk about it more when we get there. Grape event, and then we have this Frieren. Now this is one of the cards that I was mentioning when we talked about the Grape event, like sometimes decks do want extra stock, so this is one of those cards that can give you extra stock. On play, we can choose a card in our hand and put it into your stock. And then also on play, we can pay 1, discard a Climax, and if we do, choose one event in our waiting room and salvage it. So, alongside the fact that this set has a ton of events, this set also has a lot of ways to grab events. This has ways to swap events. You have one event in hand, you want a different one. You have characters that can swap events. So unlike a typical Weiss set, which has a lot of difficulty actually finding the exact events that it wants, you usually just have to draw into them. Frieren, because of its theme of magic and all the events being magic related, it has a lot of tools to help you get exactly the events that you need, which is really awesome. And then here we have the Flamme Climax. Flamme? I'm gonna call her Flamme. Flamme, this beautiful lady, is Frieren's teacher. Now you guys might remember that I said Frieren is over 1,000 years old. Flamme was the most powerful mage all those hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's really funny that we pull both Kane and Lawing. These are the chummy buds that we do encounter in the magic examination arc. Another Stark. Alright, and then we have this passing through the checkpoint Frieren. This is a pretty standard anti-level reverser at level 2. When she's reversed, if the character that reverses us is higher than the opposing player's level, then that card gets sent to the bottom of their deck. What makes this card really powerful though is her second effect. On attack, we choose one of our other characters and they get X power times 1500 power, or X power times 1500, the number of events in our waiting room. Now there, obviously, as you guys have, as I have told you guys repeatedly, there are a ton of events in Frieren, and as such, there are going to be a lot of decks that run a lot of events. So if you just think about maybe having 3-4 events in your waiting room when you attack with this Frieren just gives another character 4,500 power, 6,000 power, 7,500 power, 9,000 power if you have 6 events, right? It's crazy how much power this Frieren can give. So essentially, you can turn any level 0 or level 1 into a guaranteed lane win, and also answer a really high target threat with the anti-level reverse effect, all on this one card. So the double-edged value of this card is why this card sees so much play and is so valued as a card in event-heavy decks. Alright, next we have another very useful uncommon. This is a effect that has always been very highly sought after and used in any set that has it. This level 0 hider has the effect where on play, it gets the effect where during this turn on attack, we can pay 1, discard 2 to search our deck for 2 characters and add them to our hand. So it would be the Origami from Data Live has the same effect. We have the Chibi promo from Ayakashi Triangle, which is very sought after and used in a lot of decks. Frieren has this as well, and it is no less strong compared to those sets. I will say though that like some decks probably don't actually even need this card, which kind of goes to show how much other good things that you can potentially play in Frieren. But having this card as an option, especially in a set that also has a Riki, is just such a blessing. Alright, this is one of the rares that I really wanted to pull, and we did pull it. This is Flight Magic. We have so many nice events here. This is a rare event. Kind of goes to show the game designers are telling you that this is a good event, and it is. So this is a counter event, so you can use it during your opponent's battle, and you get to look at up to the top 4 cards of your deck and add up to 1 adventure or magic character. This is really important because this card, alongside the Magic for Fighting Lost accessories, are 2 events that are both grabbable by a particular level 1 Fern double rare Climax combo, which hopefully we will pull. And then, oh my god, this Frieren Climax Regret. This is the catalyst for Frieren going on the start of her journey. After Himo, the hero, passes away, Frieren realizes that the time that she spent with her friends was not ephemeral as she thought it was. Frieren, as a being that has lived for over 1,000 years, does not perceive time the same way humans do, where their entire lifespan is merely 60, 70, 80 years, and probably in their era sometimes even shorter, right? I believe Himo might have been even in his 60s when he passed away. Frieren not realizing the value of the time they spent together until this very moment when she is in front of Himo's grave, suddenly realizes that she has so much regret just not taking the effort to understand human emotions and the emotions of her friends more. And it is because of this that she embarks on a new journey with Fern and Stark, which have connections with her old friends. Fern is the apprentice / adoptive daughter of Hyder, and then Stark, this guy, is the apprentice of Aizen, and he is training to be a strong warrior that can protect the weak and protect the people of his village. So one picture it's just so many memories come back. Alright. And then we're gonna have a complete 180 by this Frieren just not being able to wake up. This is one of my favorite cards. This is one of the reasons why I love this set so much is because of the flavor. A bit of a spoilers, but basically this card's name is Mage Who's Lived for Over 1,000 Years Frieren. Frieren has been training for all this time, ever since her hometown village was destroyed by demons. Flam, her master, saved her. And ever since then, she has trained for hundreds of years to suppress her mana and hone her skills. Demons in the Frieren universe perceive power levels based on mana output. And no sensible being would mask their aura, as within the demon community, the demon societal kind of pyramid of power it's all about how much, well, power you have. The demons with the biggest auras are the ones that have the highest ranks, and it's all about a contest of strength and might. So to demons, it is completely out of the question for any being to intentionally mask their aura. But that is exactly what Frieren trains for hundreds of years. To mask her aura to the point where demons cannot perceive that she is powerful. And yet she is one of the most powerful mages in all of the land. This particular scene is when Frieren faces Aura, a formidable demon enemy, and then just tells her like a boss that as she unleashes her full might and her aura just expands tremendously, kind of like a Ryoiki Tenkai, a domain expansion. Aura just expands her aura, and Aura, the demon Aura, just like mind breaks. She just like can't believe it, and then the super card line is like, Aura's like, I'm a demon that has trained for like tens of years or thousands or like hundreds of years, and Frieren's just like, oh, yeah, that's cool, Aura, but I've been alive and training for over 1,000 years, and she unleashes her aura, and it's just so sick. But anyways, the reason why this card is really favorable is because this is a level 0 that's 3,000 power, but against level 3s, she gets 7,500 power, which is, we normally don't see level 0s kill level 3s, right? But this is a level 0 that specifically is designed to kill level 3s, which is so beautiful. Given especially that they also made an aura card that is a level 3 that has 10,000 power, and this Frieren specifically goes to 10,500 power. It's so beautiful. It's peak cinema. Oh, speaking of aura. Speaking of aura. Oh my god. Okay, I said I wouldn't go over the lore that much, but I sometimes I just can't help myself. If this video ends up being 2 hours, so be it. The set is just, oh my gosh. Alright, so we do have our second foil of the box here, Social Gathering Stark. 500 per every one of our other Magic or Adventure characters, and on play, we can discard a card to summon any level 0 or lower character from our waiting room. This is a pretty nice actual standby target, if you can believe it or not. The set does have a 1175 hand on court, but oftentimes the set doesn't really value it that much because we do have a level 1 standby combo that just immediately stands itself as a 2-2. So running this as a 1-0 allows us to get a consistent setup by the time we reach level 1 better. And if we do standby out level 1 at level 0, this still has enough power to just comfortably be over most other level 0s anyways. So this is probably going to be my consideration for the level 1 of choice in an 8 standby build. Alright, and here, I've been raving about the set all this time. There's bound to be something that I am not satisfied with, and that is this sign card. So, this level 1 sign combo is, they did our boy so dirty. At the beginning of our Encore step, if his climax, which is a door, is in our climax area, if we have 2 or more other characters, and the character facing this card is reversed, we can put up to 1 card from the top of our deck into stock, and then search our deck, and then search our stock for up to 1 card and add it to our hand, and then shuffle our stock. There are so many things that are so disappointing with this card. The first thing is that he is not the traditional modern effect of like pseudo fever, where our climax combo can activate if our opponent facing this card is reversed or there's an empty lane. He has to reverse a character. There has to be a character for him to have reversed, right? So essentially, it is an on-reverse combo that just resolves at the start of Encore step. For that, we blind stock 1 and then search our stock for 1 card. So we don't actually plus stock, we are putting 1 in and taking 1 out. And our selection is extremely limited because we only have our stock to choose from instead of deck or waiting room. It's like literally the worst zone to search from. So like, why did they print these? Okay. They did sign so dirty. It's so sad. I'm so sad. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, hope restored. Now we have an actual good card. This 1/0 Mage Frieren is the climax combo that I was referring to that has the ability to grab either of these events. She has a climax combo with Moonlit Showdown, which is a pants that we have pulled earlier. This one. When we play the climax, we can choose up to one of these events added to our inner waiting room and add it back to our hand, and then she gets 1000 power until end of turn. She also does have a continuous effect of getting 2000 power if you have 2 more other characters, putting her up cumulatively to 8000 power with her 1k1. Attacking for 8000 is a very respectable amount because, generally speaking, you will be able to reverse most other level 1s. And also having the on-placement climax to salvage events is really nice. You get that guaranteed advantage. If you have 1 card left in deck by the time you go into climax combo, you will be able to get all value first before you trigger your last card and go into a new deck refresh. And since these cards are both counters, the package as overall is very synergistic because you then get to immediately use these counters on your opponent's turn, whether you need to fix deck state with the mill 4, or you want to discard a pants that you triggered with the draw 1, discard 1, and then salvage 1, and then the salvage 1. You can fix your hand for the next turn, discard the climax, do whatever you want. It's super synergistic. Very powerful card. Definitely one of the doublers that you are looking for and you want to consider for your level 1 combo. Ooh. Okay, I kind of had a brain freeze, but this was the card that I was looking for. Clumsy Birthday Frieren. Yeah, this Stark says you can choose up to 1 Clumsy Birthday and summon it. And that is not a card. So yeah, this is supposed to be a card that Stark summons. She is a frontal 2000 power character. On play from hand, we can heal 1. But since Stark does summon from waiting room, we do not get that on play heal effect. It is kind of just a bonus in case we do need to hard play her at level 3. And then her last effect is we can start up, pay 3, and put 1 birthday present from our hand face up underneath this card as a marker and rest herself to burn 2. That event is a 1/1 which we haven't seen yet, but it is one of the few, if not only, event I believe in this entire set that doesn't have the word magic in it. This event is just a regular scene from the show, not magic related, where they go on, basically it's a date, and Stark painfully and full of heart chooses a birthday present for Frieren. Alright, we have 3 packs left, and we should be getting 1 more foil and maybe 1 more double rare, not sure. Pouting. Okay, so we do have another double rare, and this is one of those other double rares in which we did want to talk about because it has synergy with this 3/2 Frieren. So, reason to go on a journey, Himmel. This is the scene where Himmel discovers Frieren and invites her to join their hero party to subjugate the Demon King. On play, we can pay 1, and if we do, we can... Oh, so, sorry. On play, we heal 1, and then we can also pay 1 after the heal. And if we do, we can summon the 3/2 Frieren, this one, from our hand onto our stage. So we essentially get like a 1 stock reduction compared to just playing it normally. Since it is played from hand still, off of Himmel's effect, we do get to activate Frieren's effect of on play, look at the bottom 2 cards of our opponent's deck and send any cards to the waiting room, put the rest on the bottom. And this is relevant because it combos with Himmel. His climax, eternal love. Himmel professing his love for Frieren. Climax combo on attack. If you have 5 or less cards in your hand, 2 or more other characters, you put the bottom 3 cards of your opponent's deck into the waiting room and then deal 2 X times equals the number of climaxes. So the idea is that you want to use Frieren to mill non-climaxes, actually. Normally speaking, you would want to mill climaxes so that you have a better chance of hitting your swings. But since this does check from the bottom and Himmel does want to mill climaxes, you actually want to mill characters and events. So you want to leave those climaxes there so that Himmel, the hero, can mill those climaxes, and ideally you In a perfect roll, you mill 3, obviously, but like hitting 1 or 2 is still pretty good because then you'll get to do 2 times the number of climaxes you mill. So that's the idea behind this particular package. And this is the birthday event that we were talking about that allows you to burn with the 3/2 Fern support. Look at the top 2 card, put the top 2 cards of our deck in our waiting room, and then salvage a level extra lower equal to cumulative levels of the cards milled. And then we put this card into memory. And then we can, when we level up, we can discard a card to put this back to our hand. So early game, like level 1, we can just use this card to hand fix, goes to memory. And then when we eventually do want it back, when we do have the 3/2 Frieren or 3/2 Fern down as part of our gameplay at level 2, we are able to just grab this back when we level up to 2 by activating its effect, swap any card, discard it, and then send this back to our hand so that we have it in hand to activate with Fern's combo. Alright, and then our rare for this pack is this 2/1 Eisen. Like most Eisen cards, he is yet another front row attacker. 2/1, 2/5, but don't let that deceive you. If he has a continuous effect where if we have 2 or more other characters, he becomes 10/5. And also on play, he gets the following 2 abilities until the end of our opponent's next turn. Where during our opponent's next turn, this card gets 2,000 power, so he goes up to 12/5. And also, if this card is in the middle slot of our front row, the character facing this card gets -1 soul. It's not a super remarkable card, but it is very flavorful. He is the stalwart frontline, the unbreakable, unshakable, unmovable defense and shield for the rest of the party. So he is there to absorb all of your attacks, absorb some for himself. If your opponent's swinging for 1, he will absorb it to 0. And then we have another book climax. Alright, so 2 packs left. We are expecting 1 more foil, so let's see what that potential foil is. So this is the 7/5 hand encore that I was talking about that Standby does have the option for. But in this day and age, I think it might be a bit too weak. So I think we do want to run this 1/0 Stark probably instead. And we have this 1/1 Fern. One of the things I like about this set is there are just so many facial expressions. And Fern, she, despite obviously Frieren being her kind of like well, Frieren's not her caretaker. Frieren's basically her teacher. Fern is actually Frieren's caretaker because Frieren's really bad at taking care of herself. But Fern oftentimes does act as like the mother of the group. So sometimes she will kind of like look down on people for doing bad things. This is a backup where when you use the backup, which is a 2,000 power backup, you mill the bottom X cards from your opponent's deck, where X equals the number of magic or adventure characters you have. Deck disruption is actually really powerful in this day and age. For example, if your opponent had the plan of trying to refresh with their climax back and 1 card left in deck for optimal compression and potential new deck canceling, you can use this Fern and make them mill a 5 that they weren't expecting and maybe force them into a new deck refresh prematurely, force them to refresh poorly. Maybe their new deck, they'll trigger extra climaxes that wouldn't have triggered before. It can actually be quite powerful. Similarly, if your opponent is going into your turn and you know they have a fat compressed deck, they have like 6 cards and there's like 3 climaxes left in their 6-card deck, you use the Fern on their last attack and you just make them weep as all of their supposed guarantee cancels just are sent straight to the waiting room. Phantom Magic. So this is yet another one of our events. Phantom Magic is a bit more niche as it is an event that just chooses 3 of our opponent's characters in front row and they all lose 2,000 power. And this goes to memory. Not super useful, especially since it is 1 stock. So I feel like this might have been a bit more relevant if it was like 0 stock. But minusing power is a bit more heavily costed than, for example, giving our own characters power, because minusing power does have the potential upside of being able to send our opponent's characters to the waiting room outright. In Weiss Schwarz, when any character hits 0 power, they are immediately sent to the waiting room. So this does have that extra potential synergy. But at the same time, this card cannot stack the minus 2000 power on the same character 3 times. You do choose up to 3 different front row characters, and those all get minus 2000 power. So you don't really have that level of flexibility. So this is more of a niche card than anything. Alright, and for our rare for this pack, we do have a very nice Frieren early play that goes very well into event-heavy decks, such as one that runs the level 1 Fern combo, that runs these 2 events, for example. Her early play condition is pretty unique, where if we have 6 or more events in Waiting Room, this card gets -1 level in hand. And then on play, we can discard a card to heal the top card of our clock into stock. And then if we have 2 or more other characters, she gets 10-5. She becomes 10-5 and has Encore, but the Encore is discarding an event or climax. So a lot of different costs and conditions that players might not be super accustomed to. The 6 or more events is very unique for Frieren. The Encore cost of discarding an event or climax is also very Frieren based, but in the context of Frieren, it makes a lot of sense. Everything about this card is just, if you play a lot of events, this card will fit right in. And here we have Eternal Love, which is the climax combo for the 3-2. The OFR version of this card is just absolutely heart-wrenching, so beautiful. I will be showing off all of the OFRs and some of the signatures at the end of the video, as I always do, and you guys will be able to admire how good these look. Alright, last pack of the box, and I do think it is a foil, so I'm very excited for this last pack. Alright, and we do have a level 0 Kane. We already have seen this card once. I haven't talked about it, but it is a good chance to talk about this card now, as it is actually pretty powerful. On play, we can look at the top card of a deck and leave it on top or put it on the bottom. And then also on play, we can choose a card in our clock and add it back to your hand. And if we do, we can put a card in hand to clock. Straight clock swap. Hololive players will be familiar with this card as it is an effect on the level 0 Sora. This Kane is really powerful because she can grab climaxes and events. Let's say, for example, you just refreshed and you refreshed a climax. You use this Kane, grab the climax. If you saw an event that you really want, you see like a Mill 4 event, you see a Salvage event, this Kane can eventually basically just lead to, one thing leads to another. You grab this, you just, Kane becomes Salvage anything in your Waiting Room, draw 1, discard 1. Or you grab the Flight Magic and the Kane becomes turn one of your cards into Mill 4, add 1. Super flexible card. Alright, this 3-2 call is it's actually pretty powerful. It's an off finisher, this on play heal, and then at the end of attack, pay 3, discard 2, burn 3. I actually like this card quite a lot in standby shells, because what you can do is you can standby him out at level 2, pair him with the Stark that has Bodyguard. If your opponent can't answer Stark, they certainly will not be able to answer the call because they won't be even able to attack the call. And the next turn, you can just start burning your opponent at level 2 and be very aggressive that way. Alright, and then for our last rare of the pack, we do have this level 0 Himmel. Start up, pay 1, tap 2 characters to mill the top 3 cards of our deck, and then choose one level X or lower character and salvage it from a Waiting Room, where X equals the number of characters we milled. Not super great, if I have to be frank with you guys. We just talked about how many builds can use all these nice and wonderful events, and the fact that he doesn't check for events milled and only checks for characters means that oftentimes with the combination of climaxes that are always going to be in our decks, he is going to have a very difficult time salvaging level 3s. So it might not be the greatest option, but if you did want something that will give you a guaranteed plus, maybe this is something that's pretty good in standby. Kind of like how we talked about the Methode Brainstorm being a pay 1, tap 2, mill 5 Brainstorm, not being a significant downside because you can tap a character that's going to bounce right back to your hand. This hero can also use that same kind of logic very efficiently, except you will always get a guaranteed plus. If the salvage targets that you were most often looking for were level 0s and 1s, then this will almost always get you that guaranteed salvage. So in the right decks, in the right shells, this card can fit, but for the most part in event-based decks, this is probably not something that you would want to consider. Alright, first box down, 4 double rares and 3 foils. Again, this new box configuration with 12 packs does lead to a lower double rare count per box, but again, the overall case ratio is around the same as the old cases. So, let me clean up real quick and we are going to move on to our second box. Alright guys, we are back with our second box. I just checked the time of recording and we are well over an hour. You know, I did my best, but my love for this series is too strong, so, you know, you guys are... We're all here for the ride, so alright, let's go into our second box. Yeah, let's do what we did last time and take out all the packs first. We do have a bit more space to work with. Alright. Alright, most of these cards we have gone over. I'm really hoping we can pull... Oh, we have another Fern doubler. It's a good doubler to pull. It's one of the nice doublers of the set, but obviously it's not one that we wished we opened for the purposes of the opening, since we do want some more variety. But as I was saying, I do hope that we can at least pull an OFR, given that there are so many different OFRs and they are so pretty. But our first rare for this pack is a card that we haven't seen yet, Frieren and Fern Stark. This is, as you guys will have may noticed, the kind of one of the key visuals for the Frieren anime. So we do have this in nice art form. On play, you can draw up to 2 cards, discard 2, and then blind stock 1. Climax combo with a door, on attack, burn 1. This kind of feels more like a trial deck level finisher, if I'm being honest. It's not super impressive, and there's not, this set, door is kind of the trigger that got the short end of the stick with the level 1 sign and the level 3 Frieren Furnace Dark, so it's honestly just not something that is very impressive here. Alright, we have our first foil for this box, the 2/1 Drought. So let's talk about this real quick, because he is actually kind of a cool anti-meta disruptive card. On play, this card gets 1000 power, equal to the number of our characters times 1000, including himself. So if we play him last, he'll get 5000. So it goes up to 10-5, very respectable. But why he might be considered is for his second effect. On play, reveal the top card of a deck. If the card is an adventure or magic that subjugates opponents, which is a particular aura event that we haven't seen yet, then we get to choose one of our opponent's level 0 or lower characters anywhere on their stage, even in the back row, and send it to the waiting room. So we can kill back row brainstormers, we can kill back row specific supports. It's a really powerful card that allows you to just be disruptive in a game that normally doesn't allow back row disruption all that often. Because the set has so many ways to top check the top card of a deck, hitting the top card with this effect is actually fairly reliable. And he also is not a dead body on the board. He can contest other early plays and level 2s with his 10-5 body. So a 2-for-1 deal is sometimes going to be very powerful when you use this card. And in the right matchups, it can be a game winner. Alright, so our third rare is another rare that we have not seen before. This is the other part of the 8 standby combo. This card is the reason why I think it's not so bad to run 1/0s, because when we get to level 1, this Stark will just automatically turn on. His climax combo is at the beginning of attack phase. We can send the standby that he is associated with to the waiting room to stand him. And then also, his second effect is really strong. If all of our characters are adventure or magic, he gets 500 power, putting him up to 8-5. And the following ability, where when one of our other characters is frontal attacked, we can send Stark to waiting room, and if we do, that character does not become reversed until end of turn. That is actually such a crazy effect. It's sort of like Geld from Slime in a sense, where Geld has the ability to give another character like a massive amount of power, like 3000 or 3500 or something. Stark is a bit different because he doesn't actually win you the lane if you weren't already winning the lane, but you also have a guaranteed way to save one of your characters and prevent a reverse. So this can be a way to deny on reverse combos. This can be a way to save level 0s or level 1s that otherwise never would have been able to outscale your opponent. It's a guaranteed, essentially it's a guaranteed +1. You can attack with a Stark and he'll get another card of value by being able to save something else, which is just super useful. Especially combined with this climax combo, where next turn, if you want to bring him back and you have his corresponding standby climax, you just bring him right back and he can attack again. Alright, we are pulling the same double rares. Alright, another event that we haven't seen, another magic that we haven't seen. This is the magic that removes rust from bronze statues. So random, but it does have meaning, you know? Like every other thing that Frieren collects, everything is for upholding her memories of her old friends. The heroes party, hailed as heroes of the land. Many towns erected statues honoring them and their contributions. However, 50 years later, 80 years later, those statues are rusted, are decrepit. A lot of villagers hardly even know the original heroes. So Frieren takes it upon herself to learn magic to de-rust these statues, to return them to their former glory so people can remember, so she can appreciate her old friends. This card is basically a Himmel card, as Himmel is the one that has the yellow climaxes, and this card searches your deck for a yellow climax. It also allows you to send a copy of the 1-0. Where is that statue? I wish I remembered to keep that card out, because now I just can't find it. Oh my gosh. Oh, here it is. Okay. This card can send, after you use the effect to search for climax, you can then send a copy of this card from your wayroom straight into memory. Now, I actually neglected to speak about this card's last effect. I kind of just forgot to mention it, but this card is actually further synergistic because this event, this statue, when it's in memory, if you did not play a copy of the Himmel this turn, the first copy of the 3/2 Himmel you play per copy of the statue in your memory gives the Himmel -1 stock cost. So basically, if you have one statue, the first Himmel you play becomes 1 stock. If you have 2 statues, the first Himmel you play becomes no stock. So you're paying 1 to send this to memory to salvage the level 1 combo or another Frieren and Himmel 3/2. But then you kind of get the cost recuperated when you go into level 3 by the fact that your first Himmel just doesn't cost anything, or has this cost reduced for the turn. So this event is another way for you to grab a climax so you can go into your level 1 or level 3 climax combo and at the same time reduce the cost of your level 3 Himmel. Very powerful card. Another magic. This is ordinary offensive magic. In the trial deck, we did see the defensive magic, the 2/3 defensive counter, and here we have a very offensive counter, or offensive event. 2/4, and just very simple, burn 3. Despite its heavy cost, this actually does see a good amount of competitive play, as strange as it may seem, because in any other set, a 4 cost burn 3 event, it's not something that you probably consider, you know. It's very heavily costed. Generally speaking, if you use this, you would not be able to play your finisher line. But if you guys remember, the trial deck Frieren can be cheated out for no stock in multiples. So with all that extra stock that you just saved from not needing to pay stock, what if we just added a burn 3 on top? So this is definitely something that you guys consider. It's something that is actually very powerful to extend the reach of your opponent's of your final turn. Duncan, Fern. Oh, we did pull an OFR! It's the Scales of Obedience! This is the climax combo for a yet to be seen level 3 Fern, and this is just so beautiful. Very nice. And we have another yet unseen rare. This is our anti-change for the set. This hider has the effect where when you use the backup, we can pay 1, discard 1, and then we choose one of our opponent's characters that is higher level than their current level and put it into the stock. So we do give them +1 stock. However, the cost for us is also lessened. Normally, this effect would be pay 2, discard 1, or pay 1, discard 1, sack a character. Usually it is more heavily costed than this, like discard 2. But in exchange for us needing to pay 1 less resource, our opponent gains 1 more resource. Now, for a lack of, well, any other option, this is our only anti-change in the set in terms of backup form, so this is just what we have to work with, whether you do favor this type of trade-off or not. And this card also comes SP. Okay, another rare we haven't seen yet. This is a very powerful level 0 utility card. On play, we can discard an event or a climax, and if we do, we can salvage any adventure or magic. Normally, not something that by itself is super powerful. I think if you consider a on play, discard a climax, salvage a character profile in most other sets, it probably wouldn't be like super valuable in terms of concerning for your deck slots. However, for Frieren, for a lack of because a lot of decks run so many events, and a lot of Frieren builds, specifically like the 8 pants build, for example, oftentimes do come into a situation where you might have 1 too many climaxes in hand. The ability for you to discard an event or a climax, and having that flexibility in getting exact salvage, is what makes this card, in this particular set, a lot more valuable than comparable peers in other franchises. Kane, Lawing, Eisen. Alright, and our third foil is this 1/1 Stark. That is the 7500. That is our last foil for the set. But we do have a couple double rares left, so hopefully we can pull something nice here. Maybe something that we haven't seen yet. A lot of cool stuff that we haven't seen yet. Okay, so our rare for this is the Fern and Frieren Brainstorm. This is a specific part of the 8-book package. Not all climax triggers in this set are treated the same. Door got the short end of the stick, but Book got the long end of the stick. 8-book in this set is very pushed because of their back row supports. We already went through the level 1 Fern that gives you an extra card whenever you resolve a book trigger. Here, this is a specific book Brainstorm. Pay 1, rest self, mill 5. And per every book climax you mill, you are able to salvage an adventure or magic, or the 3/1 event. Isn't that so crazy? This Brainstorm can grab the stock wash level 3 event alongside just being a salvage Brainstorm for any other character. It's it's a big draw to 8-book, honestly. It really is. Her second effect is also nothing to laugh at. You can rest this card if you have 3 or more other characters to draw 1 and discard 1. There is a particular card in Frieren that allows us to stand a Frieren on play, which is really useful. This particular one, this is a 1/0 Fern that allows us to on play choose one of our characters with Frieren and stand it. So we could just rest this, draw this card, play Fern, stand her, draw this card, or if you just need to go through your deck very quickly, you Brainstorm, play Fern, stand her, Brainstorm again, you just mill 10 on 1 turn through 1 card. Very powerful. Alright, let's see some new double rares. Okay, well, this is a card that we haven't seen yet, which is really nice, because we do want to have this card as a consideration for a lot of our decks. Older Woman Frieren. Obviously, she's a... she's 1,000 years old. It's not a big deal. It's just she's getting up there, Her effect is really strong, though. Once per turn, when we play an event, she gets 3,000 power, putting her up to 7,000. Really nice because we do have a lot of events like this event and the 1/1 red event that are both counters. So she can not only be 7k on your turn, but also 7k on the defense. Her second effect is really why she's very valuable, especially in the Fern Pants deck. When this card attacks, all of our characters, including herself, gets the ability where when we trigger a climax, we can pay 1 to blind stock 1 and then draw up to 1, and if we do, discard 1. So we can immediately pay out the climax that we just triggered, put a new card in. It could be a climax, it could not, but we know for a fact that we did pay out the for sure dirty climax that we just triggered. Furthermore, specifically, like for example, if we did trigger a pants, we can then draw one and discard the parents that we just triggered. So this set has a lot of ways to circumvent the potential downsides of climaxes like Gold Bar, like pads, with this level 1 Frieren, with the level 0 back row Frieren that we talked about in our first box, with the 1/1 red event that allows us to draw one, discard one on our opponent's turn. There are so many failsafes that makes playing something like 8 pans just a climax spread that normally does come with some risk of poor compression, and it makes it so that you can still refresh 8 even with 8 pants. Even if you trigger a pants, you can still refresh 8. You pay it out and you discard the climax all in one card. Okay, we have another doubler that we've seen before. We are cursed. It's so cursed. Yeah, so we might pull one more doubler. It is 3 to 4 doublers, guys. Remember that. Alright, so this is not something that we've seen yet. This is a 2-0 aura event. I will leave this onto the side because when we talk about the 3-2 aura for our conclusion, when we go over the other doublers, this is a card that combos with specifically that level 3. And discard 2. Alright, so we do not pull a last doubler, which is expected. No, some of the boxes have 3 doublers, some of the boxes have 4. Alright, so this was the result of our second box opening. We did pull these 3 foils, including this very nice OFR Scales of Obedience Aura Climax, as well as these 3 doublers. So let me clean up a bit, and we're going to go into the overall conclusion, talk about some cards that we haven't pulled yet, and let's wrap things up. Alright guys, we are back with the recap for the rest of the doublers that we did not pull, and most of these are worth a little bit of discussion, so let's get right into it. The first doubler that we failed to pull is Homeland Flower, Frieren, and Himmel. This is one of the targets that was mentioned on the statue that we could pay 1 Centenary to salvage of. And it's honestly one of the better early play healers in the set, or just early plays in general. We have the 6 or more events -1 level healer Frieren. We have the level 3 U-Build that can come down and kill one of our opponent's front row characters. And then we have this early play Frieren Himmel. If we have 4 or more, -1 level, so probably in modern times the best early play condition available. On play heal, and also during our turn, if we have another character, this card gets 2000 power, putting them up to 10-5. And also the ability where on attack we can pay 3, discard 2 to burn 4. This is a very flexible, yet albeit expensive effect, but it's really nice to have that flexibility to be able to identify if your opponent is out a bunch of climaxes anywhere starting from your level 2, and if you do see that opportunity, you can just go ahead and push a lot of unexpected burst damage that they did not see coming. Can potentially win you the game, but it is at a very steep cost since it is not tied to a climax, and also it is an early play. But if you do have the need for just a generic healer that doesn't require you to run a ton of events like the Frieren does, 4 or more -1 level on play heal, and also just being 10-5 during your turn is fairly decent enough to still warrant justification. And sometimes your opponent will just get wise. They'll just double trigger the previous turn, and you can take advantage of that with this early play. Second double rare that we didn't pull is the Great Mage Syria. This is one of the few beings that is even stronger than Frieren. She is the founder of magic, basically, in the land. She created the kind of like the how magic is governed in the world by the good guys, and she knows everything. She knows all the spells, all the magic in the land for the most part. And she is our set's Search Riki. On play, we can pay 1, clock ourselves from top deck to search our deck for a level 1 or lower character. And also she has the very useful effect of, on play, we can pay 1 and discard an event to salvage an event, harkening back to her character where her knowledge knows no bounds. She oftentimes will give out a desired spell, or a desired tome of magic, so that mages and magicians that she deems qualified can learn any magic in her repertoire. So she has the ability to just kind of divvy out magics willy-nilly, and she, this effect of being able to swap a magic event for another magic event is to her character. So very powerful card. Even if you don't run events, just that first effect alone of pay 1, clock yourself, search is definitely something that you might want to run in almost every Frieren deck. Third, we do have this level 3 Aura, another fan favorite of the franchise, if not just for her unique way of going out. But this is, just again, another super flavorful card. On play, we can draw up to 2 and discard 1. Climax combo with the Scales of Obedience, whose OFR we did pull. Very nice card. If this card is in our front row and we have 4 or more other characters, choose one character facing this card, and if the power of the card you chose is lower than this card's power, that character gets sent to our opponent's clock. Aura in the show has the Scales of Obedience, which is her strength of power. She has absolute confidence in her power level. I mentioned earlier that basically Demon Society and Hierarchy is all based on strength. Aura, being one that is very senior and has honed her skills for a long time, has a lot of power, and she uses that to great effect with her tool, the Scales of Obedience, where she selects another soul, and these 2 souls, her own soul and her opponent's soul, they get put on this scale, and they compare power levels essentially. And whoever's power level is lower, if Aura's opponent's power level is lower than Aura, she gets to make them obey her any command. Very powerful, right? So, given how her skill work is very flavorful, that Aura literally compares her own power level to the opponent's power level, and if it is lower, they just immediately die. Like, there's not even a battle. They don't even get into it. There is no fronting. They just get straight to clock. Now, we do have a couple of assist cards here. We have this 2-1 Aura that gives our frontal level 3 with higher characters 2,000 power. And also on play, we can discard a card to salvage this particular event. And the event is a 2-0 event where we can choose one level 3 Aura in our wait room and either add it to our hand or put it into our stock. And then choose up to 3 of our opponent's characters, and those characters get the ability until the end of the turn where they cannot become reversed. Now, you might hear that effect and think, wait, isn't that a good thing that our opponents can't get reversed? But then you realize that this is an event that you can use on your opponent's turn. Obviously, this is a card that you would play with the Aura package, but the reason why it fits so well with the level 3 Aura is if they know that you're playing Aura, they will want to crash their characters so that you can't clock shoot them. But the 2-0 event prevents your opponents from crashing their characters. So let's say you just have a normal board of 3 characters and your opponent knows that you are 1 turn away from hitting level 3 and playing your auras. They will intentionally try to ram low level characters, low power characters, and just front 3 times, and at the end of the turn they want to clear their board so that you can't clock shoot. You use this event, you salvage an aura, you say your characters literally cannot get reversed, so that next turn you can play your auras and they will get sent straight to clock. It's a really flavorful, really well designed package. Now, there are a couple of shortcomings with this. Aura does need to target. So, for example, if you're playing against Slime or Ainz, where they do have untargetable characters, Aura literally doesn't do anything. She just doesn't do anything. She just can't choose those targets to put on the Scales of Obedience. And finally, it is like, we get a clock shoe. And it's kind of like, is that it? One clock shoe nowadays is like not super great. She does have the draw to discard 1 effect, so I imagine something like this can be paired with something like the 2-3 Fern defensive counter that does rely on us having a full board. If we do go into the aura line, we are most likely going to have all 5 of our characters still on the board because we just guillotine all of them. And then we still have a full board for the 2-3 event to potentially help us live another turn. But if you do want to play Aura and you are an Aura fan, then there is a whole endgame package designed for her. Going into red, the red level 0 that we missed for our double rare is this level 0 Mirror Lotus Bracelet Fern. She is a level 0 regular reverser, so when she becomes reversed, you can reverse your opponent's level 0. Her second effect, or her first effect that's printed on the card, is why she is actually such a powerful card. On play, we can look at up to the top 2 cards of our deck, choose up to 2 from among them, rearrange them in any order, and send the rest to waiting room. This is for Hololive fans and people that know Hololive. It's the effect of level 0 Mio Drop Search. The top check 2, rearrange or discard any, or discard 1, leave 1, or rearrange both, or discard 2. This card is so powerful because it can act as basically the direction of your turn. If you, for example, see a climax that you want to draw for a climax combo, you can put that climax on the top part of your deck and then draw it with the 1/1 red event that allows you to draw 1, discard 1, and then salvage a character. So in one fell swoop, you can grab a level 1 climax combo back from your waiting room, and then you can draw the climax that goes with that character if you do see it in the top 2 cards. Another scenario is if you really want to hit a brainstorm, you can top check 2 and just mill any non-climax cards you see and then go into that brainstorm. So essentially it can be a 6-card brainstorm for brainstorm 4s, or maybe even 7-card brainstorms for like your mill 5 brainstorms. And thirdly, if you, for example, just want to have a normal turn, you're really compressed but you don't want to disturb your deck state, you play Fern, you top check 2, and they're clean. You don't want to do anything, so you can just take solace on the fact that your first 2 triggers are guaranteed clean, attack, and then the only unknown trigger is your last one. So many applications, so many ways to just abuse the fact that start of turn information and the ability to manipulate that information to your advantage is what makes this Fern really powerful. Next, we have this level 0 blue Fern. She is probably the brainstorm that we are mostly looking for most decks that aren't standby or book, because they have their own ways of plussing. This is a tap self-salvage brainstorm, a very typical standard one, but her second ability is very, very useful. Up to 3 times per turn when we play an event, so this can activate during both our turn and our opponent's turn, we can look at up to the top 2 cards of our deck and put them on top in any order. So unlike this level 0 red Fern, we do not get to mill any of them, but we do get to rearrange them. So it's really nice because, again, more information is always going to be good. We can use an event to set up some plays like the 1/0 mill 4 event, fight magic, or the magic to find lost items, the 1/1 salvage event. And then we can then once again check our top 2, because either of those events will have changed the nature of the top cards of our deck. We check the top 2 again. All this constant information is going to help you make informed decisions, because you just have that extra layer of information that normally a deck would not have, right? Sometimes if we had the ability to have foresight to see our triggers, we would brainstorm before we start attacking because we just had 2 climaxes on top. Of course, I think most of us have had that happen where we just rued the fact that we had so many climaxes stuck on top. But with Frieren, with these 2 Fern cards, you will almost always have information on the top cards of your deck at all times, should you choose to use those effects to see them. So I think one underappreciated aspect of Frieren is that it'll almost never refresh poorly because of all of its tools at its disposal. You're not going to come into a lot of situations where you just first card trigger climax and you just can't pay it out, or it's like super deep, so you have to pay 3 stock to pay out your first climax. You have ways to clean your stock. You have so many ways of getting information on what the top cards of your deck even are before you attack. Things like that can really help out a game and increase your compression levels on average. Next, we have Winter Close Frieren. This is a really cool card because it's an upgrade of the common Fukujiro effect, on play we can discard a card, and if we do, look at up to 4 cards from the top of our deck and choose up to 1 level 1 or higher card, mill the rest. Normally this effect, before Frieren was printed, has, I believe, always been an on-death effect when sent to waiting room from stage, but this card is when placed on stage from hand. So the ability to have main phase, mill, and selectivity, especially in a set that has so many different events that we might want to grab. This can grab our level 1 combo, this can grab any of our events. It's super powerful, free deck speed, a definite consideration for any Frieren deck. Obviously, with any kind of this profile, you will have to be a bit careful about your level 0 count. You don't want to play, like 19, 20, 21, 22 zeros if you are playing the Frieren. The more zeros you play, the more likely you might potentially whiff and just go straight neg. But otherwise, this is a very powerful consideration for any level 0 line. The last card is our favorite Magic Frieren. This is one of the marquee climax combos of the booster set. Frieren heals on play, and here we have this really big paragraph, so let me just summarize it for you guys. On attack, if Hero, which is a pants, is placed into the climax area. If you have 3 or more events with magic in their card names in your waiting room. This is why the flavor translating to card effects is so sick. We have so many different events, and they all are the different magics that Frieren has collected and assembled in her arsenal throughout her hundreds, 1,000-year plus lifespan. So she has the ability to call forth all of these different magic abilities. When we have 3 or more events with magic in their names in the waiting room, we can choose one of the following effects and perform it. On attack, we can mill the top 12 cards of our opponent's deck, and then this card gets 1,500 power. On attack, we can look at up to 2 cards from the top of our opponent's deck, put up to 1 into our opponent's waiting room, and then put the rest on top. Or we can on attack discard 2 to burn 3. These are 3 extremely different effects that you can use depending on your opponent's compression and their damage situation. If you need a bit of if you just need reach, you can go for the discard 2, burn 3. If you know that your opponent has a ton of compression left in their small deck, maybe they have like 5 climaxes left in 10 cards, 2 climaxes left in 6 cards, the mill 12 is deceivingly extremely powerful, because if you do get to mill a bunch of climaxes, it's as if you burned the number of times equals to those climaxes you milled, right? If you think about it, let's say in the example where our opponent is at 2 climaxes and 6, right? The 2 and 6 scenario. If you use the burn 3 and they cancel, and then you swing and they cancel with the last climax, think about if you mill 12 instead. You actually just go through both climaxes for free, and you mill extra so they get hit with refresh point. This essentially can sometimes be multiple instances of burn, the mill effect is. So, deceivingly powerful, can ruin compression states, and she gets an extra 15 on top. The last effect is the one that I think is going to be the one that is the most, the least used. We get to look at the top 2 cards of our opponent's deck, but we only get to put 1 into waiting room, which is a really big shame. We would have preferred if it were able to put both of them into the waiting room, so that if you see 2 climaxes, you can just mill both climaxes. But maybe they wanted to balance the Frieren out, because there have been some climax combos in the past that had tri-modular effects that were just a bit too strong. Let's say like Data Live with the level 3 Kurumi standby combo. So maybe they wanted to tone down Frieren a bit. It is a bit of a shame that her effect is a bit nerfed, but having this extra option is always nice. This is definitely one of the level 3 combos you can consider as your top end. I will say that most modern decks will go into, if they are playing on the more competitive side, they will be playing some variant of 8 pants with the level 1 Fern combo with the pants into the level 3 Frieren combo. And you can either play the booster combo for Frieren, or you can play the Troll deck combo for Frieren. And both are pretty solid options, and I think there is a good amount of supporters for either top end. Alright, so now that we have covered all of our double rares, it's time for my favorite part of specifically Frieren, just looking at the high rarity foils. Oh, actually, you know, before that, I did want to show off all the first, second cards. So like I mentioned at the beginning of our box opening, there are now 6 total first seconds divided into 3 pairs. I hope there's not a glare on this, but this is the going first, going second pair for the original Heroes party with Frieren, Hyder, Eisen, and Himmel, and the new party with Frieren, Fern, and Stark, the marquee picture. Next we have our OTP, our favorite pair, Frieren and Himmel. It's really nice because Himmel is standing in a field of the blue weed flowers, the Soul Gets Soul flowers, his favorite flowers. And Frieren has a band of flowers on her head, a field of flowers created by her magic that creates a field of flowers. These are both so nice. And our last first, second pair is from the Aura the Guillotine arc. This is a picture of Aura, of Frieren, as she says, like, I'm so no Frieren, and you're like the Simpsons Homer guys, like, oh, they said the title, so no Frieren. That's her. And this one is, you know, we have Fern, Stark, and Frieren against all the demons of the remnant demons that have stayed around after Demon King died. So we obviously have Aura. We do have some of the other demon side characters that do have some cards in the set. Finally, we have first seconds. So happy. Alright, and now let's get into looking at some of our high rarity. Let's take a look at the OFRs first. So we have Hero, and this is the Climax combo for the level 3 Frieren. We have Sight I couldn't see on my own. This is the level 1 book combo for Frieren. Moonlit Showdown is the level 3. It's the level 1 pants combo for Fern. Fully Fledged Mage. This is the level 3 book combo for Fern. So this is 8 book, and this is a variant of 8 pants. Next we have 8 standby with. I did not get. I don't think I have the other 8 standby on me. Okay, so we have one of the 8 standby OFRs. We have Privilege of the Young with Stark buying a present for Fern, and Fern being very hard to deal with. We have Sign with the level 1 Sign combo. This is probably one of the more disappointing OFRs, as Weiss doesn't do any job at all of foiling out characters' faces or like their bodies. So the only foiling I see on this card is like the eyes. It's kind of disappointing, not gonna lie. And then we have the Frieren Stark Fern combo on the level 3 in the midst of their journey. Very nice, very cute. Next we go into green. We have the Scales of Obedience, the level 3 Aura combo, as well as the level 2 Flam combo. We did not get to see that, but we will be featuring it in an upcoming video for gameplay, so obviously we will see that eventually. And then for yellow, some of my favorites, we have the Heroes Party, a mere 10-year adventure. This does combo with a particular level 1 Frieren that is part of the. They have like a whole package revolving around this level 1 Frieren combo, which is it's a bit gimmicky, but it basically stacks a bunch of choice triggers onto the other party members. We have the foil version of Regret, which is on a level 2 Frieren combo. That is not super great, which is why we didn't talk about it, but the climax art is obviously top tier. And my favorite, Eternal Love. This is the alternate art version of the level 3 Himmel climax. And I can't. It's too beautiful. It's Himmel literally buying Frieren a ring and then putting it on her ring finger. And like, Frieren just doesn't understand because she doesn't know how these things work. So like, Himmel is just professing his love in this most direct way possible without saying I love you, and Frieren just doesn't get it until like 80 years later. It's like, okay, all right, okay. I can't with this show. This show's too good. So those are the OFRs. I don't have the other standby, but in the final shot, I do believe I have that somewhere, so I will be showing that off. Next, we will go into the regular SPs. We have Hider. This is the 2-1 anti-change. This is Eisen, the 2-1 beater that becomes large during your opponent's turn. We have the Syrie. This is the Ricky. We have level 3 Aura. I did not manage to pull a copy of the level 0 Fern SP. That is the level 0 reverser doubler that we were talking about a bit earlier ago. I do not have that on me. We have a copy of a Sign SP. This is the level 1 combo. We have Stark. Stark is the level 3 Climax combo that allows us to summon the level 3 Fern and also get great experience. And our best for last, we do have our pair. We have Himmel, which is the level 3 Climax combo that goes with Eternal Love. And then we have the level 0 Winter Close Frieren, which is the on-play Fukajiro. That's not all though, because we do have a secret rare. Again, the secret rare is not guaranteed in a sealed case. It is a literal bonus. So you are always going to get 3 SPs and 1 SSP, and the secret rare is a bonus cherry on top. We do have a very nice filled out version of the early play Healer Burner, alongside extra care into the actual foiling of the power level, the name of the text, and the border surrounding the level and power, and the level and cost. It is a bit of a shame that it is not signed. I think there was a bit of missed opportunity there, but as a bonus and as a really nice foil on a really good card, I am personally not super upset by that. And finally, let's go on to the SSPs. We have the level 1 Fern. This is our Climax combo for the level 1 Pants. Level 3 Frieren and level 0 Himmel. Level 3 Frieren is the Climax combo that goes with this gorgeous card, Hero, right? The level 1 Fern goes with this Climax, Moonlit Showdown. So these both are alternate art artworks, just absolutely gorgeous. This one in particular, I think Hero and Eternal Love are my 2 favorite arts of the OFRs. And then we do have Himmel SSP, which is the JC of the double rares that we talked about, that we did pull of. And that is about it. Oh, actually, I do want to show you guys one last card. When we were talking about the trial deck, I was just raving about how I loved the OFR of the level 3 trial deck Frieren combo. So this is the regular version. And this is the OFR. The flavor text just goes hand in hand because I figured they'd be here, but I wasn't expecting so many, referring to the flowers. And then she concludes, it took longer than I would have liked Himmel. Just, their promise made decades ago about how Himmel would take Frieren to see the flowers. Unfortunately, Himmel could never do that, so Frieren goes on a quest to look for the flowers herself. Finally finds it all these years later, and all she can think of is of her beloved friend / maybe she realizes she has feelings for Himmel. That's gonna do it for us today, guys. I'm a bit drained. It's been as is usual, I guess, now for Mike doing product openings. I do take a bit longer than Randall does. I do ramble a bit longer than he does, but it's because I care about these characters. I care about these cards so much. And I hope you guys have learned something about this set, learned something about the show. If you guys have not seen this show already, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is just one unique experience. Coming up, of course, we are going to have our Trial Deck Plus Plus content by Randall. And Simu is going to be our leader for the deck profile, as he is also someone that loves Frieren and has been playing this set since its original Japanese release. And of course, we are going to be bringing you guys all sorts of deck ideas in the form of gameplay videos. So stick around, Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, this has been Mike on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.